Guys, Jason up New Age Revolution down here in the cave for another exciting episode of the TN80sR half-hour power hour, where you get to enter the cave through your questions in the information superhighway intrawebs. That's right, fire your questions off to TN80R questions at gmail.com. And eventually we'll get to every single one of them. We're enjoying a delicious black cherry seltzer from Polar. When you're hot and tired from mowing the lawn, nothing quenches thirst like a seltzer water. Burns the throat. All right, so yeah, this was supposed to be Steel City Con weekend, but I am a paranoid freak and not going, not getting the COVID. So we're just going to, hit it with like 3 shows this weekend. We're going to do a power hour, which we're doing right now, and we're going to do a whatever happened to Michael Jackson, and then we're going to do a very strange whatever happened to that is something that I've been mulling for a long time, and since I've been watching the Golden Girls pretty regularly, it reignited this thought in my mind. And so later on this weekend we're also going to talk about whatever happened to nighttime. How about that? Whatever happened to nighttime. All right, let's get right at your questions. Thomas, who wants to be referred to as Thomas, I'll ask the question, or I'll read the question, but I answered it, and I'll link you to the show. But you said I'm a happily married man, but my wife has absolutely no interest in my 80s collection or collecting in general. She grew up in the 80s too, but really doesn't have the nostalgia bug at all. Is this the same for you? If so, does it ever bum you out that she doesn't want to join in the fun? Take care, love the channel. That was answered. That was answered in a very special episode of the TN80sR half-hour power hour when we invited Mrs. Rev onto the show. So check that out. But thanks for your question. John Feely, finally in the house. John Feely says, what does Mrs. 80s think of your collection? Did she realize what she was getting herself into? Okay, go follow Thomas and watch that very special episode. His next question, do you think you will sell your collection in the next 15, 20 years or pass it on to the DK Juniors? That's a great question, actually. Will I sell the collection in 15 to 20 years? So I'm 45. In 15 years, I'll be 60. And if my math is correct, carry the 1 parentheses, I'll be 65, right? Maybe. At 65, I mean, maybe. I don't know how I'll feel at 65. I'm a little worried that I'll feel like I do today at 65. And that'll make aging even worse, right? Like, I thought when I was a kid that I would just be an old man at 45 and, be working in some salt mine or coal mine or, on some Ford assembly line in Detroit or something. I don't know. What did men do when we were kids? I didn't know that I would have the mind of a 12-year-old when I was 45, that I would have the vivid memories at 45. That's it's fun, but it's kind of depressing because, 45 is still young enough to think like you got some life left. But when I'm 65, if I'm still yearning for the 80s at 65, I think I'm going to have a depressing senior living, I kind of want to just drift off to no memory land. That would be okay with me. Just give me some walking, I'll be like walking anesthesia, just unconscious, not knowing what's going on. I don't want to I don't want to buy LJN customs when I'm 65. Not that that's not great, but I think it'd be too depressing because then like, all right, here we go. Will I pass it on to the kids? Yeah, I mean, if they're not on crack, I'll probably pass it on to them so that they do something wise with it instead of pawn it for $45. Finley, that's a guarantee. He'll be fine. Liam, not so sure, right, bud? Finley rocketing Excite bike there. All right, so that's that question. John Feely, welcome to the TN80sR half-hour power hour. He also says, oh, I just read what you wanted me to call you on air. I'm sorry. Johnny8585. Johnny8585. Now in the comments, I think you're John Feely, so I don't feel so bad that I just blew your witness protection program cover. But Johnny8585. He also says, just thought I'd point out that a viewer asked if you have any newer items in your collection. You have, or maybe you no longer have, the Funko Savage World Horror figures. I no longer have most of them. I think I gave them away as like, just here's some gifts. I have the Freddy and the Jason still. Actually, I think I gave Liam the Leatherface. I think Leatherface is up in Liam's room. And Mike Myers I gave to somebody, I think. So I don't have those saved. I was really excited about those when they first came out. My man Ian. Ian says, Jason, what are your thoughts on the 1985-1987's Topps WWF sports cards? For me, they were huge. They were huge for me, too. I collected them heartily. I loved them. And when I was younger, so this would probably be the 85 set, I would stand, so I'd put the LJN figure on a shelf, and then I would put their card in front of the LJN figure. That's how I displayed like all 8 or 10 figures that I had in 85. So yeah, I got them in 85. I got them in 86 too, or 87. I was never able to complete the poster that you can make. I don't know if you knew that or not, but all the sticker cards, if you flipped them over and put them together in like a 12 or 15 or, I don't know, 16 piece puzzle or so, it would make a Hulk Hogan. And then you're supposed to tape it together, I guess, and hang it on your wall. But I would always just peel the stickers off. I remember putting the stickers all over my headboard of my bed and then my dresser. And my parents freaked out because, according to them, it was like this solid oak, $1 million bed set. And I was destroying it with these stickers that they'd never be able to get off, and I would ruin the bed set. I fondly remember that bed set. I actually really liked it. And as I got a little bit older, I would put Garbage Pail Kid stickers on the bed as well. And I think at that point my parents just gave up and said, whatever. We didn't pay $1 million for it. We got it on clearance at, Tony's Baby Depot. Ian also says, do you think prices on 80s toys will continue, or do you think prices on 80s toys will come down or continue to climb, or is it just the pandemic that caused the inflated prices? No, I think they're going to continue to rise. And to be honest with you, we are all to blame for that. If there were no Facebook groups, if there was no eBay, if there was no YouTube videos glamorizing a particular toy or toy line, I don't think people would care as much as they do now. I think we've caused all the prices to skyrocket. I don't think it's coincidence that my Sergeant Slaughter was like $125 back in 2001 or so, right? Because there were no Facebook groups, there were no YouTube videos glamorizing this figure. I don't think inflation of wrestling figures is the same as inflation of, gasoline and food. So I think we caused the spikes in price. But thank you, Tom. Thank you, Ian. My man, Ian. Retro Reminiscence in the house. I cannot say enough about Retro Reminiscence. Go check out his YouTube channel. He very much reminds me of me. He's got a very cool, laid-back presentation. Just sits on a couch and talks about stuff from the greatest decade of all time. And very, very easy to like person. Just like me. But go check out Retro Reminiscence. He's had wonderful things to say about the channel. And he asked 20 questions. 20 questions from Retro Reminiscence. I just saw that. Well, let's do 2 from Retro Reminiscence, and then we'll put you back to the back of the list. He says, "Hey Jason, got a couple questions for you." Couple is 2. No, I love it. Love it. Keeps the show going. He says, "I was also an American Gladiators fan. I plan on doing a video about it on my channel soon. But who was your favorite Gladiator, man and woman?" I honestly don't have favorites. I think probably that guy. I liked the guy with the long brown hair, and he looked very chiseled. He kind of looked like a model. What was his name? It wasn't like Titan. I'm looking at the figures. I don't know. I'm sure I put a picture of him up here somewhere. But I can't remember. It's not like Gemini. Oh, I don't know. I can't remember his name. I thought he was cool. The girls I never even knew, like Zap, I think was one. Blaze and, Betty. I think Betty was one. Yeah. I just really liked the show. I thought it was great, and it was it was in such a time block for me, and we've talked about this many times on the channel. It was just a great Saturday. It was a great Saturday with cartoons in the morning, and then your programming started to get serious. You got American Gladiators, you got WWF Wrestling Superstars, and then usually on most Saturdays, the Professional Bowlers Tour was on, and that was always awesome for me. But yeah, that's when American Gladiators I loved it, just because of that block. I know that the Gladiators, so there's a Gladiators channel on, what is that channel? It's not Peacock. It's the other one with a P. Oh, man, I can't remember. But there's a streaming channel that most of your TVs have that has its own channel. Like every channel is dedicated to a show. So there's like the Baywatch channel. There's the Unsolved Mysteries channel. There's the 70s and 80s Price is Right channel, which is amazing. But there's also a American Gladiators channel. But my deal with it, and that's great, but my deal with that is I really wish that we had an American Gladiators box set, and I don't know why we don't. It makes no sense for there was no music that they had to worry about. It makes no sense that there was not an American Gladiators DVD box set. Because I really want to watch, because when you go and you watch the shows on TV, they're in order, but you got to sit there and watch every single one. There's no DVRing them on these streaming sites, some of them. So I'm always behind. I always don't know who caught. I want to watch it in order because every week was a tournament, and then there was the grand champion. I liked American Gladiator sometimes when the little guy, when the competitors would try to get in fights with the Gladiators. There was a couple of moments in the American Gladiator show where they got a little too hard with each other, and there was some rumbling going on. It was pretty cool, but yeah, I don't know who my favorites would be. Nitro, I think his name was Nitro. I like Nitro, if that was his name. The second question of 20 is how can the New 80s Revolution? How can the New 80s Revolution and Retro Reminiscence team up for an epic collaboration video? Something. We got to do something. Maybe talk about. I don't know. Maybe we can do like a Saturday Night's Memories show or a Nintendo memory show. I know you're a big Nintendo guy. But we got to do something. We got to get the power of technology to connect us and do a little collab. All right, I'll give you one more. It says, if you could relive one WWF moment live and in person, what would it be? Great question. I probably would want to be at an age where I appreciate it. So I wouldn't say like anything from 84 or 85. I don't want to lose the experience that I had with WrestleMania 3, but it probably would have been amazing to be, in the front row of WrestleMania 3. I think it probably would have been the worst experience ever to be in the back row of WrestleMania 3. But that was pretty electric, as Gorilla would say. Maybe an MSG house show, in the early 80s, early to mid 80s, probably. All right, well, I wonder if I can delete these. I probably can't delete them. Okay, well, so we'll save your next 17 questions for the next episode. Thomas is back. Thomas says, I have a couple of questions. This is a question that relates to your answering about going back to December 85. After your month is up, you get to bring back just one item with you. What would that item be? Great question. December 1985 was the Christmas that I got a bag of LJN figures. They were like, I got about 7. So I got, the Series 1B, I guess. I got Piper, and I got Big John Studd, I think, and, Junkyard Dog, guys like Nikolai Volkov. You okay? What's the matter? You want to play another game, don't you?
Can I go upstairs for a minute?
You want to go upstairs for a minute? Sure. You going to come back down?
Yeah.
Okay. Love you. Bye. I don't know, maybe he has to poop. So, you know what? I would want to bring back that gift, that package. Just like my mom, I don't know, I think it was like how like you have smaller garbage bags for your bathroom garbages? I think she put them all in there. Or maybe it was a regular sized garbage bag, but she put 7 or 8 figures in a garbage bag and then wrapped the garbage bag. And of course, because she's, so clever, she took the figures out of the packages for me and threw out the packages. So I got a bag of loose LJNs with their posters rolled up with them. I guess as a kid, that's awesome, because who cares, right, about the packages. But as an adult, I'm like, good Lord. You probably could have wrapped each figure so it looked like I had more presents. But I think I'd like to bring back that package, that whole package, because it's just, it's cool. So that's the one item, because, God, there's so many more items that I would bring back. That's the childhood home. That's the home that I've talked to you guys about. I would also probably want to bring back one piece of furniture from that childhood home, maybe the couch. The couch that I remember distinctly. I remember the pattern of the couch very clearly. And I've never seen it before at a thrift store or anything, but I would, maybe bring back the couch. But you said one, just one. And he says also, what's your perfect Saturday morning cartoon lineup? You can pull shows from any year and put them together. Yeah, probably a He-Man, a G.I. Joe, Hulk Hogan's Rockin' Wrestling, some Muppet Babies, some pup named Scooby-Doo. Throw the Gladiators in there, and then let's get WWF Wrestling Superstars on tap. All right. So we'll bounce you out of here, Thomas. That's you slipped in 2 emails to me. My man Jonathan, Jumpin' General on the tube. Jump in General says, "Hey man, hope all is well. Here's a few questions. How far are you into having a complete set of masked vehicles?" I am 0% into having a complete set of masked vehicles. I have none. I have 0. I don't know if I'll get into that line. We're desperately running out of space, but it is absolutely a toy line that I know my interest will grow when I start to watch the cartoon. He says, "How much of your G.I. Joe collection is from your childhood years?" 0. None of it. None of my collection is from my childhood years. I have 3 LJN figures. Oh, wow. I think I'm down to just 2. Yeah. I don't know what happened to the... I have 2 LJN figures left over from childhood. I have the British Bulldogs. And they are packed away somewhere. And I used to keep them on the shelf, like way tucked in the back. But they are somewhere. I have 2... I have the British Bulldogs from childhood. They somehow stayed with me. And their hands and noses are chewed off by a rat. So you can actually see the little rat teeth marks in the figures. No, we did not live in squalor. It was a pet rat. A pet rat that had Herculean strength and would burst out of its cage. I had it in an aquarium with a mesh top on it. And it would hit the mesh top with its head, knock the mesh top off, climb out of the cage, and just run amok. And he chewed up my British Bulldogs figures. So that's the only stuff I actually have from real childhood. When are you going to start working on the Jason mask I mailed you? And you're going to make it into your Hulk Hogan theme mask. You're right. My man Jonathan, Jump in General, sent me... It's down there. Sent me a plain white Jason Voorhees mask. And he wanted me to paint it. And I thought, well, maybe I can paint it like red and yellow, do like a Hulkamania headband, and have a Hulkamania Jason Voorhees mask. And then I just didn't. I didn't get around to it. But now that I've been painting, maybe I got the painting bug. Maybe I'll bust out the old mask. But thank you, Jump in General. You are always, a friend of the channel. You've been with me a long time. One more set. We'll go Michael... Well, let's see what he wants to be called. Doesn't say. We'll call him Michael Rea because that's what we've called him on the channel before. Michael Rea. Good guy. Very, very good guy. Very generous guy. Sent some fun stuff to the channel. Really good guy. Michael Rea says, "What is the one toy you had as a kid that you wish you still had mint on card?" Well... For nostalgia's sake, nothing, because I could probably just go buy whatever I wanted. But these Nintendo games that are selling for ridiculous prices on eBay, I mean, we're talking, $1 million for a... I don't think they're on eBay. I think they're at a bigger auction house. But $1 million for a sealed Super Mario NES game or a sealed Zelda game or whatever. And I think a Nintendo 64 game might have went for stupid prices too. Like $500,000. Good Lord. I would want to go ahead and do that. Could you imagine just accidentally tossing a game somewhere? You bought it as a present. Johnny already had it. Oh, okay, here, toss it in the closet. And then you're a millionaire? 30 years later? Michael Reyes says, "Do your kids want to play with your toys?" Oh, absolutely, and they do. Liam was raised down here. I can't find it. The picture's not here. I think it's in an album upstairs. My wife still keeps photo albums, but there's a picture of 3-week-old Liam laying in the LJN ring, terrified and screaming. Oops. Yeah, I set my kid inside the LJN ring when he was about 3 weeks old. And just took a quick picture and got him out. But when I laid him on the hard, cold plastic of the ring, he freaked out. I'll definitely try to find that picture. Finley was just playing Excite Bike on the NES. Yes, they play with my toys. Yes, they have ruined some of my toys. Finley destroyed a Jake the Snake Roberts on me by drawing blood on him with a blue ink pen. And then a beautiful friend of the channel sent me a replacement Jake the Snake. They've broken a few things. They've lost a few things. I can't find my Daisy Dukes of Hazzard 3 3/4 inch figure. Can't find her. No idea. Daisy Duke's been gone for 2 years or so. Yeah, so they've, a year ago, Finley the 5-year-old, would demand and cry and scream that I would take down the Ghostbusters firehouse and bring it upstairs for him to play with. And that was a project because there's 7 or 8 figures posed in the firehouse, so I would have to take it down and bring it up, and but I wouldn't have it any other way. I mean, Liam was very, very big into this stuff up until he was probably maybe up until the last year and a half, and then he started to get into his own thing. But Liam, I thought he was going to have a hard time realizing that other years existed because he was really into this stuff. And then Michael Reyes says, does your wife collect anything? Go back and watch the very special episode of Mrs. Rev on the show with me. She addresses that in the show. She has a few very minor collections, but she addressed that in the very special episode. So that's that. There's still 437 questions to go, so we'll keep doing more. All you guys who asked multiple questions, you will get those multiple questions answered in upcoming episodes. So that's the half-hour Power Hour. Thanks for hanging out with me. 2 more shows to come this weekend. Whatever happened to Michael Jackson, and whatever happened to Nighttime. I think that one's going to be a head scratcher. That's all for now. See you soon. Good night now.